Liz Russo's life hasn't been an easy one, but the Easton resident and stand-up comic is now making her name known. And there's one thing that sets her apart from the rest. She's using her strength and her long-term recovery from alcoholism to help people while making them laugh.
We're sponsored by Highland Brewing Company. That's awesome, especially as a recovering alcoholic. It's great. This would have been a weekend.
I think through my addiction and then finding my way through the other side is that, you know, if you can laugh at something, you can get through it. It's part of the healing process. And when you can't find that laughter, that's usually like when you're in that dark place. You know, I was lucky enough to kind of, you know, see the sunlight on the other side and come through it.
Liz has been doing comedy since 2000, thanks to an uncomfortable moment at a college show.
You know, I never thought I would be a stand-up comedian, but I've always been a little bit of a ham, and I've always done like musical theater throughout high school and all of that kind of stuff. And then in college, I got involved with an improv group and like a Whose Line Is It Anyway kind of thing. And then I transitioned into stand-up comedy basically from a heckler. I had a heckler at a college show that I did that was improvisation, and someone called me the fat girl from Wilson Phillips, which was horrifying to me, and I was really upset, but I rolled with it and didn't let it show that it bothered me. And then I went back to my dorm room and I cried and ate a cake.
Oh, I'm happy to be here. Yeah, I'm all spanked up for you people.
But with that cake came inspiration.
I wrote some material that was a little self-deprecating, but also challenging him and what he did, you know, to me. So I got up on stage with some of my very first jokes and came out singing "Hold On for One More Day" with a big box of donuts. And, you know, the heckler actually came up to me after the show and he goes, you know, I really respect that. You can make fun of yourself. And he's like, I was just trying to be funny. I think you're great. And then like a little light bulb went off and I was like, oh, this is what I want to do. I want to challenge people's perspectives, but using humor.
Something else, I gave up alcohol, not for the weight loss. Oh, thank you for the applause. Someone from my meeting.
And now Liz is traveling the country on her own and hosting shows in her own neighborhood.
I'm coming up on my 8 years of sobriety. Thank you very much. And for my 5-year sober anniversary, I decided to do a comedy show and give back to an organization. Actually, the first year we gave back to the Live and Grin Foundation, which was my rehab down in Bensalem. And all the comics are clean and sober comics. And it was so successful for my 5-year sober anniversary, we decided to just make it an annual thing. As long as I stay sober, so that's good.
Liz is hosting a show this Thursday. It's called Dry Humor, Stand Up for Recovery, and it will be held at 7:30 p.m. at the Arts Quest Center in Bethlehem. Other comedians in recovery will also give performances.
We have Patrick Holbert, who is a great feature comic, been on True TV, and he's sober as well. And then we have Dave Landau is our headliner, who's amazing. He's been on Last Comic Standing and Comedy Central, and he's really, really, you know, blowing up right now. And you know, he was arrested 13 times. Yeah, and so I actually used both of our mugshots in some of the promotional stuff. But yeah, so we have some great stories that we're gonna work into to the show, and I'm really excited to have them.
From a mugshot to a beautiful headshot, many have found inspiration in Liz's story.
I spent a year in Northampton County Prison, so don't be scared.
I feel very safe.
Do you? Okay, good. So, you know, that was something that was pretty devastating. It didn't keep me sober. When I got out of jail, I went back to drinking because that's how strong addiction is. And, you know, I got a couple public drunkenness charges while on parole, which is not allowed, apparently. And they gave me the option, do you want to go back to jail? And I was like, or what are my other options? And luckily enough, he actually said, if you get yourself to rehab, I'll accept that.
Years later, Liz still has a relationship with the man who put her in handcuffs.
one of my arresting officers will be at the show.
Yeah, I actually, I gave up the alcohol not for the weight loss. I gave it up because the legal system and I had a little chat.
And he's one of the people I'm really happy has been part of my journey. You know, when he arrested me for this public drunkenness that I had, you know, he's like, I didn't understand it. You seemed like such a nice girl. You were so funny. I'm in his top 10 arrests, which is awesome. Gives me a little street cred.
And so she kept fighting and she kept laughing.
I'm happy that I'm sober now. I'll tell you something. Being sober is great for one really good reason, and that's now when I have to pee, I use the bathroom. All right, ladies, when we drink too much especially and we have to pee, it's going to happen. It doesn't matter where it is. It doesn't matter if there's a bathroom or not. We'll build a wall of friends around us. Everybody make a circle. Make sure no one can see me.
And one thing said to her in the past is a friendly reminder she's doing the right thing.
He said, you know, when I saw you in the newspaper that you're doing this great comedy show, I recognized you, and usually when I recognize someone that I arrested in the newspaper, it's in the obituary section.
Do you ever take a moment to sit back and just remember the moments you've had years ago with your addiction to where you are now and just kind of think how blessed you are?
Yeah, a lot actually. Especially holidays and things like that. I turned 30 in Northampton County Prison, and I turned 40 in the Bahamas for 2 weeks telling jokes at a comedy club. So 10 years just made that difference, you know, and so that's pretty amazing. And
in 2019, the sky is the limit for Liz Russo. Well, except the price of plane tickets.
Well, I am traveling a lot, which can be fun, but I'm not quite famous enough for, you know, the airfare. So I'm driving to Kansas and Iowa and down to Georgia, and that was just, you know, within a month. So it's a lot of travel and a lot of work around it, but there's nothing I would rather do. I love making people laugh. You know, I'd love to be discovered one day. If anyone's out there that would like to discover me, that would be great.
To learn more about Liz Russo's journey from recovery to discovery, you can check her out at thelizrusso.com. For PBS 39 News Tonight, I'm Tracy Yatsko. A portion of the proceeds from the Dry Humor Stand Up for Recovery show will go to the Stepping Stones Recovery Foundation in Trumbowersville. You can get tickets at steelstacks.org.